is the Prosperity Podcast. We are the podcast of the South Island Prosperity Partnership, or SIP, if you will. SIP is an alliance of municipal governments, First Nation governments, private industry, post-secondaries, and nonprofits. We're the economic development organization for South Vancouver Island. I'm currently sitting and operating out of the territories of the Lekwungen-speaking people, the Coast Salish nations, the Esquimalt and the Songhees. And joining me is David Nicholls, who is the GM and partner at Vancouver Island Brewing. How are you?
I'm doing good today. Very good today.
Good. To check in with you, David, because we've heard, like, one of the things that's kind of funny, but it's an interesting stat, that in the time of all of the slowdown around COVID, our alcohol production and consumption and purchasing has gone really, really high, way above average. But we want to get you to explain that that's not the case with everybody, including craft brewers. So let's talk about VI Brewing and how that stat applies to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one stat that everyone would agree on is people are drinking more at home. That's, whether that's beer or wine or spirits, it's generally on the incline because people are not out. And I think that's the case for a lot of the craft breweries. And when we look at craft breweries, they're ranging from, super small, almost call them micro craft breweries, where all they are is a tap room, all the way to your bigger production breweries, and then you got everything in between. So more consumption is happening at home for sure. People may be talking about consuming more, but at the end of the day, beer volume's down. There's a huge amount of beer volume that's consumed at bars and restaurants across BC and across Canada. And as much as our sales are up at retail, and we're happy about that, it doesn't make up for what we're losing in on-premise for us, which is bars and restaurant environment.
In other words, the way to put that is that people aren't drinking draft at home.
That is correct. Some people are who have those kegerators, but they're 1 in 1,000, if not 1 in 10,000.
Yeah. So, you're pushing out the cans and the bottle. It's the draft kegs that make the difference. So when you face that, which was pretty apparent from day one, how did this change, and how does this change the way you do business?
Yeah, certainly. The timing of COVID-19 coming into play was, pretty dramatic because it was the start of the summer season. A lot of breweries are launching their new innovative beers come the springtime, generally entering the market around April. And so as volumes were growing and climbing with just general summer amping up, we saw the extra wave coming of people consuming at home. And a lot of varied information coming. Some stores, doubling their store sales usually, or some are only up 20%. So nothing was consistent across everywhere. And I think people would recognize that as they went through their own buying patterns of, did they order beer, or did they show up and walk a store? Or did they order it at the front of a store? And so there was a lot of changes in the marketplace. And I think, one thing is for sure that consumers were moving more to bigger packages. They were buying 12 packs. They were buying mix packs. For our mix pack, we have a great summer mix pack, and it's got a taste for everyone. And so consumers are trying to make quick, fast purchases. And so those offs were, not flying like they used to.
What are your top 3 sellers?
Well, our number 1 selling beers are Broken Island's Hazy IPA. It's a new beer that we just launched a couple of years ago, and has proven to be a big hit for us, both on draft and also in can. Next up, Victoria Pilsner. And one, people may have remembered Victoria Pilsner from a long time ago. It moved into a lager as we were, looking to build out a lager portfolio, and we've actually just made that change recently back to a Pilsner, going back to its old roots. So that's, our number 2 seller. Number 3 seller right now is a new beer that we just launched a couple months ago, which is our Beachcomber Hefeweizen. It's continuing to exceed our expectations, which is amazing because during a time of crisis, people generally revert to what they know, the common things that they would buy. I'll take my usual, right? Because they're either in and out on a fast purchase. They don't want to be hanging out and exploring and discovering new stuff. Well, this is our newest that we've put out, and it's immediately we expected it to be in the number 7 position, and it's now, doing fantastic for us and jumped right into that number 3 spot.
So you have this great spectrum of product that you do throughout the year. Some of it is seasonal, some of it is consistent. Does this circumstance change your ability or will to do that in the brand line?
Certainly, we've taken the time to look at the SKUs and the different brands that we're putting out into the marketplace. We've got tall cans, the 473s, we've got 355s, which is your standard cans. And then when we get into the keg environment, we have 50-liter kegs and 20-liter kegs. Well, when the market's going through all these imbalances, people are getting excited to buy one thing versus another. It's hard for us to manage that through different warehouses and what we're putting in the marketplace. So we've really to sort of carve back on some of the newer ones, as I was talking Beachcomber Hefeweizen, and to say, well, we're just going to put it into a 20-liter keg right now and see if we bump it up to a 50. Because that's one of the considerations that we have as the beer or the bars and restaurants open up. Their biggest concern is cash flow, right? And so providing 20-liter kegs much cheaper than providing a 50-liter keg for them. And also, it's undetermined whether consumers are going to be coming back at 100% or they're coming back at 50%. We know they can't have as many seats in the bars and restaurants, but what's that consumption going to make? And so we want to make sure we're putting the freshest beer into the marketplace. So talking to customers, say maybe you just need a 20-liter instead of a 50-liter, right? So that you see the success of it. 1 week it's sold out. Okay, well, let's see if we need to move up.
I think one thing the circumstance has done is reinforce the importance of shop local, buy local, be local, local. And certainly the brewers are among the leaders in that, because we kind of consider ourselves to be a coffee and beer culture on the craft side too. But that comes down to sort of articulating or better explaining what it means to be local. So I'm just going to put this right out there right now. There's a lot of people that drink a lot of liquor, for example, which taste is your taste. But it's such this image of being a local. It's not local. It's not a local beer. A lot of them.
Yeah, when we look at the beer industry, we're always looking at one another and saying, hey, we want to support craft. We want to grow the beer industry, grow the local beer industry. There are brands in the marketplace that have a perception of being local because they've either been consumed in the market for a very long time. They might have had a presence in the market a long time ago, but those things aren't necessarily the case right now. And I think, same as when we look at different restaurants or different suppliers or different e-stores or anything that you're buying, you want to be putting as much cash into the hands of the people that are the owners employing the people that are on the streets shopping your own stores and supporting your own businesses. And that's where I think is the most critical part about local. It's that, during the time of the bars and restaurants being closed, we were with our restaurant partners to help promote them. We did a program with all the staff, and we gave every staff member every Tuesday $25 to go shop at a local restaurant just to help them out and support them. But we would say, don't order through an online delivery system. Go pick it up. Put as much money into the pockets for them as possible. And I said, one of the greatest things that we would talk about here at the brewery is that when you went and picked up your takeout, you're talking to the owners. Yeah. You're talking to the couples. You're talking to the people that created this and really started to tie an amazing relationship with these individuals together. And so that's not just for myself who gets out of the trade as much as I can, but even people that work on a packaging line or work into our tasting room, that they're out, going to the different restaurants and supporting them from a takeout standpoint. So I really think that's where the local aspect is coming into play. Is we're all employing many people as we can right now through a very challenging period. We've got government support that is helping us out, through subsidies or wage shares that are in the market that is, adding to that assistance. The next step is do what you can for the businesses that are around you to just help, fund them as much as possible, because the economy is only going to turn around by our own purchase decisions. right? The government's not going to come to Bruce and say, hey, you typically buy new technology in the summertime. We're going to give you $2,000. Just go shop and help stimulate the economy. That's not going to come. That's going to come from your decisions on where you're going to shop and how you're going to support this community.
It's been interesting and actually kind of heartwarming to see a number of the craft brewers and the wineries and cideries and others starting to work together to offer a combined package of various competitors working together to offer a product out to consumers. That's an interesting outcome, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I've always been a big proponent of collaborations, whether that is within our own industry, where there's kind of the typical, two brewers get together and two breweries get together and they make a beer. You may have remembered our pod pack from last year where, we work with 4 craft breweries on the island. We get the brewers together, they collaborate on the different styles they want to do, and then we raise money for the Pacific Salmon Foundation. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that this year, right?
Yeah.
It's just not the market conditions for us to be doing it, and nor was it the time to be running different brewers through your brewery at this point. But when you look at that collaboration space is more than just like for like, right? We started off the year, we started working with Hard Bites, and we were having discussions with them. And so we've actually created a chip pairing, right? So if you come by the brewery, right, and order online through our stores, and so we started doing stuff together with other businesses. And I think that's where those golden opportunities lie. The first step is always, hey, you'd like some beer for events that you do, and well, we'd like some gear or something that you offer. But then soon you start realizing that you align on many different values, and you have similar type audience bases, that all of a sudden it's more efficient for you to be approaching that marketplace with now something unique and very interested to that market directly, as opposed to maybe a broader approach from an advertising and a marketing campaign.
I want to give you a shout out for a couple of things. One is that you worked very hard to maintain your staffing level, didn't you?
Yeah, things fell into our favor, I would say. We had read about different subsidy programs that were happening around the world. We thought that was, a consideration that was going to be tabled within Canada. We had heard some early indications before the announcements were being made about a subsidy approach. So we decided to wait those couple of weeks to hold off and just see, is this going to come materialize? Because the last thing we want to do is lay everyone off. That's not what this economy needs, but nor can we sustain a full payroll while we're seeing some decline in our sales due to the closing of bars and restaurants. So it has been something that has its challenges, right? Because not in the business, or not everyone at the brewery is as busy as another individual. So on one side of our business, the pack crew is working their butts off trying to keep up with the demands that are out there and just slogging away. And we've got other teams that work on events and work on tastings. Well, there are no events. There are no tastings that exist in the marketplace, and a lot of advertising opportunities have also all shut down. Print publications aren't printing right now. So a lot of changes that are happening there, and so we're utilizing our staff crossover and help out. So we're absolutely maintaining our social distancing and our proper protocols within the brewery when it comes to manufacturing our products, even to the extent whereby we have our core packaging team operating during the day, and then they completely leave the building, and then a second group comes in that includes sales staff, marketing people, myself, head of HR, finance. All of us put steel toes in our high vis, and we get in there and we pack beer for another 4 to 5 hours in the evening, just to try to keep up and keep things going.
Yeah. You were one of the first to do delivery. The old story about being dealt lemons and making lemonade out of it. You brought all the beer kegs back from Mount Washington and turned hand sanitizer. So that was a great thing too. And I also want to give you a shout out for what you're doing with us at South Island Prosperity, because you're going to be the co-chair of our Agriculture, Food and Beverage Committee within the Rising Economy Task Force. Your leadership in doing. So David, just to wrap this up, we do something with everybody. We take a look at the world a year ago and everything that was going on, and then we look ahead a year from now. What would you like to see more of from a year ago, and what would you like to see less of from a year ago going forward?
Yeah, certainly the retail environment is one that I'd love for us to have a bigger, stronger presence in. As you know, those who know Vancouver Island Brewing, we've been through our brand changes and our shifts over the past couple of years, and so really 2019 was a really big year for us coming back full storm, and consumers really brought us back and adopted our new look, our new brand, our new beers, and we're ever so grateful for them and every new customer that we picked up. When you're in a bar environment, you typically you got to choice between 8 beers, maybe there's 16 beers on tap. At retail environment, you got hundreds, if not 1,000 different choices. So when a consumer makes a choice for your beer, you're very appreciative of that. They have a lot of choices out there, and so it really gives us a solid sense of pride that we're putting out such a great product, and really giving consumers just a great experience through the beer.
So selling more retail beer, what would you want to see less of in the world going forward?
Oh gosh. What would I like seeing less of? I don't know. It's the events are amazing. We find ourselves running around from event to event, and I think that'll be the interesting thing out of this whole experience is which one is going to be coming back. Is it the smaller ones that were these kind of unique little festivals where you can control your numbers, or is it the big ones that potentially had those financial backings to help them get through this period? I love festival events, but I'm like trying to manage that was always the tough one, because it seemed like every year there was more and more to be brought to the mix, and you're always making tough choices in which ones to go to.
A little more clarity on that. Well, congratulations on all you're doing and all you have. Very much appreciate that. We love the fact that you're a member of South Island Prosperity Partnership too, and the input that we get from you. So your retail location is at Government A, roughly. What's your
www.vibrewing.com.
That's what it is, and he is the GM and the partner with that organization. David Nicholls, thank you. If people want to read, they can do that through the website, correct?
Absolutely.
Right. And of course, as always, you can reach us there at southislandprosperity.ca. You can also find me there. It's B. Williams. I'm Bruce Williams, by the way. B. Williams at southislandprosperity.ca. David, thanks for your time, and we'll see you on a patio having a beer sooner than later.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you. And join us next time for the Prosperity Podcast.